Greetings. I'm Lou Holtz, and I'm sorry I can't be with you, but it's my pleasure to introduce a wonderful young man by the name of Steve Beuerlein. Steve Beuerlein was a quarterback at Notre Dame, owned most of the passing records, great player, but a better teammate. Played in the NFL for approximately 15 years, but just an outstanding person. Uh, I cannot say enough positive things about Steve Beuerlein. I'm truly sorry I can't be with you due to my health. However, I can't think of anybody who would step in and do a better job than Steve Beuerlein. He loves Notre Dame, but Notre Dame loved him also. Have a great time. Steve, can't thank you enough for stepping in. Have a great night.
We have 5 seconds to go. The ball's at the Green Bay 5-yard line, 4th down and goal. Win it here with a touchdown or lose it. It's all on the line right here. Beuerlein under center. Floyd goes in motion right. Beuerlein takes the snap. He's going to run it himself. 2-1. Yeah! Touchdown! Beuerlein wins it! Beuerlein wins it! And the Panthers have won it on the last play.
Let's give a Champions of Faith welcome to Steve Beuerlein. Welcome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Wow. I'll tell you, I can never watch that play enough. It shows off my incredible speed and athletic ability. It's crazy. 2 things that I was known for prior to my college career and my NFL 17-year career. In fact, Lou Holtz was wrong. He's, I'm going to give him a benefit of the doubt. He's 85 now, and he said only 15 years, but I played 17, so I'm going to send him a text after this evening tonight and tell him not to shortchange me anymore. I know you all know him here from speaking in the past, but what I will say is that it's kind of interesting how this works out. When I was in high school, I was considered to be one of the absolute best athletes in Southern California, which there's a lot of great athletes in Southern California. In fact, I won the Orange County Athlete of the Year award. And so that means I was a pretty good athlete. I won, I played several different sports and felt pretty good about my athletic ability. Well, when I got to Notre Dame, it became one of those descriptions of where he's a fairly good athlete. He's, somewhat athletic. And then by the time I got to the NFL, it was like, he's not very athletic. And I was like, how do you go from being the best to not being athletic at all? But it's interesting. Before I get into my talk, I would like to say, and I'm going to get this in the right position because I know my voice does carry pretty well. I would like to say, first off, it's an honor to be here. And I'll get into the reasons why I'm so honored and why this is so meaningful and so impactful to me to be a part of this evening because of a personal story. But to be here with so many distinguished people, Sister Krista, your story is absolutely amazing and what you've meant to this community. And I can't tell you how many people in this room credit you individually for everything that Camp Howard has become and everything that CYO has become. So we all owe you a great deal of respect. Archbishop Sample, it's an honor to be here in front of you as well. What's your problem? You lost. And if it's any consolation to you, you're a huge Green Bay Packer fan. I actually did the radio for the Green Bay Packers game this past weekend, and you lost again. So. I was at Lambeau Field on Sunday and doing that game, and the Packers looked terrible on Sunday. It's going to be a long year. Anyway, the significance of that play that was shown, I'm really happy that they did play it, and I owe Steve Baird, by the way, the newest Hall of Famer here for CYO. Let's give him one more round of applause, too, right here at table 16. Steve and I go back, it's at least 12 or 13 years, Servite High School, and I'll talk about that in a little bit as well, in Southern California. But he told me he was going to arrange to have a clip of that play shown, and it truly was the culmination of my NFL career. And, you know, I played 17 years in the NFL, and to have one play kind of summarize it all is very unique. And I'll get into how this all kind of plays into the theme of tonight in a few minutes. But for me, personally, I look back on my career and I think about a couple things that Archbishop Sample said in his speech, or his talk a little bit earlier. The one word that jumped out to me was faith. And that, to me, is what this is all about. And I look back on my career, and that was an incredible play. That year, 1999, was the most incredible year of my career. It was a year that I waited for my whole career. It was my 14th year in the NFL. And I never had a chance to really be a starting quarterback with a team that believed in me and gave me a chance to show whether I could do it or not. I knew deep down inside, I felt all along that I could do it. I just needed a chance. And to get that opportunity was so rewarding. I went to the Pro Bowl that year. I led the NFL in passing, which not many people in this room can say that. Anybody else say that they were the leading passer in the NFL at any point in your lifetime? There was one guy that year that kind of topped me, though. You may have heard of him. His name was Kurt Warner. He had a breakout year that year, went on to win the NFL MVP, the Super Bowl MVP. And if it wasn't for him, I would have been the guy they were talking about, and I would have been the guy that they were making movies about, so I'm a little bitter about that. But the bottom line, though, is that play kind of summed it all up. I had waited many, many years for that opportunity, and I finally got it, and I got a chance to show that I could do it at the key moment. It was a shootout with Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers. That was the previous quarterback that Archbishop Sample, I'm sure you know who that is. And it was a shootout of a game. I threw for well over 300 yards and several touchdowns, and so did Brett Favre. And that was back when it was difficult to throw for 300 yards and when quarterbacks used to get hit. But we won't get into that stuff. It doesn't happen quite as much anymore. But it was the epitome of a shootout. And to have it end like that, it meant that I was able to hold down my position with the Carolina Panthers as the quarterback and go on to finish that year, as I said, as the leading passer in the NFL. And through all the things that I had been through prior to that, to have it culminated kind of at that point, I would summarize my career in two ways. I would say incredibly rewarding with all the incredible experiences I had. This Super Bowl ring I'm wearing was on the 1992 Dallas Cowboys that I was fortunate enough to be a part of that team. Not many people can say that in this room either, I don't think. But the great experiences, the great memories from those positive years, you cannot possibly understand the ecstasy that we felt. But then at the same time, on the opposite extreme, the adversity and the bad timing and the bad luck that I had throughout the course of most of my career were overwhelming. And I truly believe that not many people could have overcome a lot of the challenges that I overcame during the course of my career to create the opportunity I got in my 14th year in the NFL. I was the oldest first-time Pro Bowler in the history of the NFL. 14 years in the NFL, and I made it to the Pro Bowl. So the perseverance and the things that went into that, and I think about what it was that kind of allowed me to get to that point. And there was one person, one living person, that I attribute all of that to, and that was my idol, that was my hero, that was my dad. And he gave me and instilled in me the significance of faith in my life at a very early age. And that value, that characteristic, that quality is what I truly credit everything that happened to me in the future and what will continue to happen to me in the future as I go forward. Faith is what it's all about. You know, I look back and I think about what that means. To me, it's important to be faithful in the good times. The times that I had during my career that were incredibly enjoyable, incredibly positive memories in my life. It's important, you know, faith teaches you to be grateful for those things that you do have. Gratitude, such an important quality. For all the young people out there, always say a prayer of thanks when something good happens in your life. Get in the habit of doing that, because it truly allows you to continue to spread so much goodwill and accept more great things that are coming in the future. But it also, in the bad times, in the adversity that you face throughout the course of your life, it gives you strength to get through those tough times. And what do I mean by that? Well, I can talk through my whole career in the NFL, and we already talked about it a little bit with the Carolina Panthers, but my whole career was a series of constant up and down moments. Times where I really thought that I had finally found myself into the right place, only to have the rug pulled out on me one more time, or only to have a new coach come in and change it up and not believe in me, not have the confidence in me. The whole 17-year career was a series of those roller coasters, up and down. And every person that ever played in the NFL, all they want is that opportunity for stability, for a coach that believes in them, to give them that opportunity. I never really found that during the course of my career. But what got me through those times was faith, that something better was coming, that because I was doing a lot of the right things, that because I was always grateful for the good things that happened, and because I had strength through the bad times, that something good was going to be coming to me. And it was kind of culminated by that incredible moment in Green Bay in 1999. So I talk about my NFL career, but it really started before that. Let's go back to Notre Dame, and I have to single out one of my classmates at Notre Dame who's here at table 11. I don't know where 11 is. Ken Dice, raise your hand. Where are you? Ken Dice is here somewhere. He was one of my pseudo roommates at Notre Dame. We have a group of about 16 guys. We all call ourselves roommates, but just because we always kind of was whoever got to the best spot first got the bed in that room, and we all kind of fought for the rest of it. But it was an incredible 4-year experience at Notre Dame that I had. Most of it was positive, but not all of it was positive. And I think a lot of people in this room say, boy, it must have been great to be the quarterback at Notre Dame. It must have been an incredible experience. I can tell you this, that there were probably 3 times as many down moments during my career at Notre Dame than there were up moments. I was there for 3 years with Jerry Faust. I don't need to say anything else, I don't think, about that. But I was fortunate to get 1 year with Lou Holtz. And the difference, I was a 4-year starter at Notre Dame. I started as a true freshman. I thought I had the world in the palm of my hands, that I was going to go on to a great career. We were going to win national championships. I was going to be in the Heisman Trophy conversations. I was going to be a first-round draft choice in the NFL. None of those things happened. Not one of them. In fact, after my junior year at Notre Dame, I thought my football career was over. I was forced to play with a shoulder that I was unable to play the position of quarterback, but Jerry Faust, in his last year at Notre Dame, would not allow me to redshirt because I was the only quarterback with any experience. So he forced me to go out and play after a shoulder surgery that I literally could not make the throws that needed to be made to play the position. And I don't even know if Ken even knows this story because I had to kind of keep it all in. I couldn't go public with a lot of this stuff. But the bottom line was, when that year ended, Jerry Faust got let go. I didn't think I was ever going to play football again. But I never lost faith. And I can't tell you how many nights that I spent in the chapel of our dormitory, Soren Hall, by myself, 2 or 3 in the morning when I couldn't sleep, in the chapel with no lights on in the middle of the football season, just praying, just asking God to give me strength. And the prayer that my dad always used to say all the way until he passed away 3 years ago: Jesus, I trust in you. I trust that you have a plan for me. I trust that if I keep doing things the right way, you're going to make things turn and things, it's all going to be worth it. All this adversity, all these difficult times, it's going to be worth it. I just cannot lose faith. And I never did. And fortunately for me, the person they hired to come in to replace Jerry Faust was Lou Holtz. And the rest is kind of history. I'll give you a quick Lou Holtz story because everywhere I go, people want to hear these Lou Holtz stories. He meant so much to me. And next to my father, I consider him to be the most impactful person in my life. Especially, most impactful, I shouldn't say that, my mom and my dad were both saints, in my opinion. But the most impactful male in my life, other than my dad, was Lou Holtz. And I can give you a litany of reasons why that is. But there was one particular story when I was the quarterback there in that 1986 season, my senior year at Notre Dame. We were playing at Alabama. And if you all, when you leave, if you remember this, you can Google or YouTube the sack. Just YouTube, just put that in the little search line, and the play that comes up is a play where I literally almost was decapitated by a man by the name of Cornelius Bennett. He became a tremendous football player at the next level. He was up for the Heisman Trophy that year. We ran a bootleg play where I faked a run to the left, and then I swung back around to the right, not expecting anybody to be there. Well, he didn't bite on the fake. He was right there. I never saw him. He caught me under the chin with the top of his helmet, which in this day and age, he'd be probably arrested for doing that. But back then, it was perfectly legal. And that was the last thing I remember from that day. I don't remember anything until the next day I woke up in the infirmary at Notre Dame. And so what ended up happening, somehow I was able to walk off the field. I don't remember this at all. But Lou Holtz tells a story. I went over to the sideline, and concussion protocol back then was not what it is today. They said, how many fingers am I holding up? You know, what day is it? Where are we? And they said, you're fine, go back in. Well, I don't remember any of this, but I went back in for 3 more plays and didn't go very well. And came back to the sideline, and Lou Holtz came up to me. And again, he tells the story, I don't. He comes up to me and he says, son, I'm sorry, we're gonna take you out. You're done for the day. And I guess I said, hey, Coach, I'm okay. Just let me get the cobwebs out. I'll be okay. Just, hang with me a little bit longer. He said, oh, no, son, you might think you're okay, but you're calling plays from your high school playbook, and we don't know those plays. So you're done for the day. You're out. So make a long story short, thank goodness I don't remember the rest of that day. Thank goodness I don't remember that hit. But the rest of that year became an incredible testament to the resilience of our senior class, that class of '86, and Lou Holtz to this day still gives us credit for really laying the groundwork and setting the tone for the national championship that they won 2 years later. And so we feel, as a senior class, we feel like we were a big part of that because we led the journey, the faith journey of believing and trusting in Lou Holtz, just doing what he asked us to do, and it would lead to great things. And it ended up leading to great things. We didn't get to experience it firsthand, but we still share in all the joy that was created by that incredible experience. But my story actually starts before that. It goes back to Servite High School, where Servite High School is in Orange County, a small Catholic all-boys high school, 800 boys, where my parents decided when I was in 6th grade that they wanted to get us out of East LA. And when I see East LA, I mean like Cheech and Chong East LA. A lot of you might remember those movies back in the day. But my dad worked for the city of LA for his whole career, and he said, we got to get my 3 brothers and I out of East LA and into a better place where they will have a chance to grow up in a safe neighborhood and enjoy the opportunity to reach their potential. And my dad found Servite High School. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, Steve Beard, you can confirm this, the grotto here in Portland, which we went to visit today, is actually, there's a very strong Servite influence at the grotto there, which I'm very proud of, and I had to see that today. It was a beautiful sight, and I'm really glad we got to go over there. But the lessons and the faith formation that I got in high school, at Servite High School, on a daily basis, the praying every day, the religion class every day for 4 years, the importance of understanding how that matriculates throughout the course of who you become, of the person you become. Someone mentioned earlier, faith-filled leaders. That's the mission of Servite High School, to form faith-filled leaders. So it all resonates. And I was so fortunate that my dad and my mom made that decision to move us to Orange County where we could experience Servite High School. And my 3 brothers and I all benefited greatly from that. Won a championship at Servite my senior year. One of the highlights of my life. Every bit as important as this Super Bowl ring was winning the California State Championship in football for my high school team, because that bond with my teammates and my brothers and how we came together as a team to unite for that common goal and to have it work out the way it did was amazing. But it actually started before that. When I was in elementary school, my 6th, 7th, and 8th grade years, I went to St. Philip Benizi High School, or elementary school in Fullerton. And at the grotto, there's a statue of St. Philip Benizi right there. I took a picture by St. Philip today saying, you know, we go way back, buddy. We took a little picture. Steve Baird took it today. And so, and then it goes back to where I was raised in East LA. I went to St. Thomas More. I heard that mentioned earlier tonight as well. St. Thomas More Elementary School. And this is where it all kind of comes full circle. When you talk about the impact of CYO, that's where it started for me. CYO. It was a big, that was all the athletics that we could play when I was growing up, because Little League didn't start until 9 years old. There was no T-ball. There was no youth soccer back in those days. That's how old I am for you young people out there. But those things didn't start until you were 9 or 10 years old. And so in elementary school, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, that was our first exposure to sports, to team sports. And it was the CYO in Southern California. I remember my coaches. My 5th grade basketball coach, Jack LeBrun. My 6th grade coach when I moved to Orange County when my dad got us out of East LA, Marvin Jones. I still remember the lessons that he taught us every single day and how important it was to have the faith part of our upbringing. And then when I, moved and got it to 7th and 8th grade, it was a coach named Ray Angelo. Good, strong Italian Catholic that was always a big part of everything we did was, we got to say our prayers, we got to be grateful for everything we have, we got to thank our parents, we got to thank our teachers. We have to learn how to be competitive and understand that it's okay if you get upset when you lose, but it's never okay to be a bad sport. It's never okay to not treat your opponents with respect. It's never okay to not carry yourself in a way that would make your family and our Lord proud of you. That's never acceptable. And I got those lessons at the same age as these kids who were up here saying that beautiful prayer earlier tonight. I was wearing those same uniforms. A little different color maybe a little different style. Maybe the shorts might have been a little shorter back in those days. But I was wearing those uniforms. And that's why this related to me so much when Steve Beard invited me to come up here and speak to you all tonight. And I got to go out and see Camp Howard today. I got to walk those grounds. And I got to picture what these kids experienced. And the videos were so beautifully done. I mean, that tells the story of what it's all about. And you all in here, in this room tonight, should be commended and thanked. And everybody that I've met in this room tonight is all in. It's amazing. I've never been in a room with this many people where everybody is all in for the same cause. Everybody believes in the mission of CYO Camp Howard. Everybody believes of how this impacts and influences all these young kids for the rest of their lives. Everybody knows, Archbishop, you said it's possibly changing lives. It's definitely changing lives. Definitely changing lives. And impacting these kids for the rest of their lives. My kids, I have 4 kids. My 16-year-old daughter, who's at a Catholic school in Orange County, and my other 3 kids are out of high school. All of them went to Catholic schools all the way through. But my 16-year-old daughter still will not shut out her lights in her room until I come in and say her prayers with her. She can say them herself, obviously, but she likes that bond between her and I that started when she was very young, that she does not feel that she's ready to go to sleep until she says her prayers with her dad. And that will carry over for her and into her kids, my grandkids. So all I will say at this point is thank you to all of you for your generosity, for your support of such an incredible organization, both CYO and Camp Howard. Thank you for your generosity, and thank you for giving me the joy and the opportunity to experience such an incredible room full of faith-filled people. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.